Good morning, team, and welcome to another episode of Cajun Tiger Plays. I'm Cajun Tiger, and we are on an adventure of a Let's Play series for Dyson Sphere Program. We have been working on our first standard build, which is our 2-to-1 smelting array, and we are going to, now that that is in play and we are actually using it to build our energetic graphene for our power plant, we are going to bring some of these Tesla towers up and we are going to head to the North Pole so that we can make use of that raw power. We're going to go into our blueprint menu, our blueprint library. We're going to pick our power solo so that we can put some of these power poles, these Tesla towers, down on our water. Remember, we are going every other 5x5 grid, so we'll keep going up here. We are going to be building in this area. See, there are three 5x5 grids north to south in this section between these two fault lines, and then there are 3 here as well. We'll be using that area to build in. We just want to build our power poles all the way to the North Pole, and now that we've got those laid down, we will come up here, turn on our grid so that we can see what we're doing. We want to put our wireless towers here, just like we have in the past for other planets, and then we will put our Tesla towers on our 4 corners. And eventually we will have Tesla towers going all the way north to south on these prime meridians. But for now, we're not ready to do that yet. We want to come down here, and here you see 1, 2, 3, and then the fault line changes how the grids are spaced. So this is exactly where we want to be. We're going to grab our foundations and we're just going to cover this entire area because we're going to use all of it. Now, unlike before, we are not going to be building our planetary logistics station. We're not going to build it in the center of this grid here. We want to build it on the southern edge of this grid. So we still want it in the same place, so this is going to be our vertical center line, and I believe our horizontal center line is going to be about at the 5th meridian. Yes, it's going to be at that 5th meridian north of the fault line. And so what that does is that, again, puts our vertical line on the right side of the tower, and then the fault, or the horizontal parallel, is right in the middle. And what that gives us the ability to do is drop our lane of belts coming out. And again, we choose filter number 1, even though this is going to be a very specific build. But we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to go all the way over there. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead and put our foundations down there and there so that we can cover all that. We will be deleting some of that later. One of the things that I don't know if we've talked about before or not, you definitely want to, as you build things, you want to build closer to the equator and come down because the spacing will change. So we're going to build, again, right on our line. We're going to build all the way up to our fault line, and then we're going to take from there and we're going to build 5 over. Now, you'll recall, we talked about this in the past, a full line of energetic graphene can feed up to 15 of these thermal power plants. So let's get our line in there, and if we start at the top and drag down on each one of these, you can see the spacing drastically changes between them, and that's just because of the way that the grid is laid out on the globe. It just happens that way. Okay, now if you'll recall, we can delete this extra line of belts. We're going to set this up to request the energetic graphene. We're going to, let's increase our numbers here, and then we're going to actually take 50. Because this is for power, we want it happening as much as we can. We want it constantly full. So we're going to put a power plant there, and then we're going to make a blueprint of this. Now, we counted out 10 of these sections. Now the cool thing is that in this particular belt around the globe, there are going to be 6 of these 3 by 10 sections. In this grid down here, which our blueprint will also work in, we'll show you that in just a minute, there are going to be 8 of these sections. So let's press 0. Oops, that's not what we wanted to do. Don't look at that, that's secret. All right, we cover all of this stuff here. Again, don't pick the prime meridian, just come down and cover all of the things that we just built. All right, you can come over here. You can see none of those are blue. We've got all of our stuff covered, and we're going to call this Power Graphite Mark 1. We may end up changing this when we get to Mark 2 or Mark 3 belts, but we may not because it works. There's a thermal power generator. Now we're going to double click this immediately, and we're going to come down here. Now you'll remember that on that one up there, the prime meridian on the first of the 5th meridians away is where our output line is coming, and it's going to go one above the fault line. So we're going to come here, and our drones are getting in the way, so I can't see very well. There we go. We are on that 5th meridian to the right of the prime meridian. You can see we're not actually covering the prime meridian, and our output belt is on the first parallel north of the fault line. So we'll click there, and because we've got so much water area, it's going to ask us about foundations, so we'll click space and enter, and our drones are going to start filling that up. We can click on some of this to help the drones out a little bit. But you see how easy that was just to plop down our blueprint. So the same thing is going to be true even though it's not at a prime meridian. If we want to come here, then we know we want to be on outputting on the 5th line past the previous array, and then our output line should be on the bottom line. So if we did that here, it would plop our blueprint down right there. And then if we keep going all the way around the planet, that would give us, again, on this level, that would give us 8. And then on this level, it would give us 6. With that done, we can look at our power grid, and we're still not completely powered here, but we are getting good results from that. All right, let's come over here because we want to go back to our home base and pick up some more things. While we're doing that, we might as well carry down some power poles and get Tesla towers along this line. We'll need to use our blueprint for this one. And then after that, oops, we missed our blueprint because I did not remember to space and enter. And then we can click on there and drag this down here and get plenty more built this way. Looks like we have a few that might be, nope, we got them all. We built everything down there. All right, and we're going to have a little bit of an issue with this stone vein, the stone mine here, because we can't build on top of it. So we could put a foundation down and lower everything below the foundation. but it's not necessary, and I don't think we want to do that now. We want to have access to our resources. But so we'll just build it one off of the fifth meridian or the fifth parallel, and we'll go from there. All right, again, while we're here, we're going to control click on these things to top off our inventory. Let's see, how are we doing on steel? Not so great on steel, so let's come grab some steel over here from these three. That helps there. And then we are good on our assemblers. We probably want more of these. We probably want to get at least another half stack of miners, and definitely want to get a half stack of Tesla towers. Need to get another stack of those, and while we're here, we're going to grab some belts. We don't want to click on there because we got a lot of belts. We don't need that many. We just get a couple of stacks there, and then we'll control click over here to get all the stones that we can get, and jump back in our menu, our build replicator, and let's see what is going on there. Oh, we've been using a bunch of stone, I guess, because we didn't get a whole lot from there. Okay, that's all right. We'll build as much as we can. There's 80. That's a good start for what we're doing. All right, we are going to come back over here, and now that we have tapped into our mines over there, we want to tap into these two coal, this copper, and this stone vein here. So, in order to do that, we are going to drop down some foundations here on the bottom for where our planetary logistics station will be, and then we'll put some there, and then we can come over here and start building our miners. Now, I'm not gonna lie, at one point in my prep work for this, I was able to get 10 veins under a single miner from this particular location. So we will see if that works. Again, if we're lucky. I was over here somewhere and got way up in tight, and I was able to get 10, but again, getting the exact location that particular rotation was is not easy, and I definitely want to make sure we're covering all of our nodes. So we're not even gonna bother trying anymore. We're just gonna leave it like that. Now this copper array, or this copper vein here, this copper node, is going to be a little bit tricky as well because it has so few veins. There's only 13 veins, and it's much harder to get our needed or desired, I guess I should say, three full belts coming out when, boy, I'm having a lot of trouble with this one. Didn't have this much trouble before. It's difficult to get 3 belts coming out when you've only got 13 nodes, 13 veins that you can access. So it makes it a little bit tricky to be able to get exactly what you need. I think we're probably going to have some difficulties with this, but we'll do the best we can. Let's see, how can we get 6 here? Not getting the 6 that I want. There's 6 there, and then here, we may just have to settle for 5 on this one. Let's see. Let's start over. Let's try again. We're going to start over on this side. Get our 6 there. Get our 6 there. We can come here and get 7. We can come here maybe and maybe get 6. Not quite there. Like I said, it is sometimes it's a difficult challenge to get your full coverage when you're on a location like this where there's not quite as many as many veins to pull from. There's 6 there, and I don't think we're going to get 6 this way either. So, like I said, we may end up having to suffer with just 5 on this particular one, or 4 if we can't get it. Let's see, can we get 6 down here somehow? We can get 5 down there. Get rid of that. I think I have an idea of how we might do this. We get a little bit of rotation there, get 6 there, and then there we go. We got 7. There it is. Okay, now we've got it. That was a little bit painful. Sorry about that. All right, this one should be easier. We'll grab our 6 there. We'll grab. Well, I said this should be easier. It should be easier. It's not turning out to be easier though. There's 6. There we go. Build here. Get our rotation just right there, and then there. Okay, there we go. That was more painful than it should have been. Sorry about that. Oh, and we still have our stone up here. I forgot the stone. Stone should be fairly easy as well. There's lots of it here. Mostly straightforward. But I do wish I had been recording the episode when I got the 10 on the coal over there, because that would have been a cool thing for everybody if we had got the 10. I think that would have been neat, but oh well, some things just aren't meant to be. Okay, so we're going to put our planetary logistics station there, and we're going to bring in our Tesla towers from over here. Again, apologies for this part of the game being so boring. If it's not boring to you, great. I'm happy and glad that you're enjoying it. It's tedium and boredom for me. This is the annoying part of the game. I love it when I get the advanced miners and I don't have to worry about this anymore at all. But that is not today. So for today, we will just continue building and feeding everything in. All right. We are not going to have enough room here in the middle to bring this line over, I don't believe. We could try to see if this line will come out. Yeah, that line goes there. And then if we take this one, see, that's gonna be the problem. Why is that not letting me do anything at all? That's just odd. Turn too much. Alright, so we'll just come straight out and bring that one there. Okay, we do have room. That's good. That's good. Let's fix our rotation there. Come up here and we'll bring that one in this way. Connect that one directly in there. Push R again because I don't particularly like the angle builds, but some people do, and that's okay. We are going to bring this one up here, and I'm just going to take it in closer before I go up to that center line. We'll build this one. This is another one. I am having troubles today. Alright, there we go. And this line can go in there. This line, change that back, can come here. This line of copper, come in there. We want the second one fed that way. Depleted. Then this one will come over here and go in. And then these two last ones will come right through into there. We'll make the big turn. Always try to warn you when we're making that big turn so that you don't get seasick or dizzy. Well, I say I always try to warn you. I don't. remember all the time. So sorry about that. Anyway, hopefully you don't get seasick on those big turns. Bring this line of stone in here and do what we can to finish this tedious part. Boy, these are just not building well today. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I did not have any of this trouble in my previous playthrough attempts at this. I did not run into nearly the same amount of difficulty trying to get these feeds to run through and feed them into where they needed to be. So I'm having to push R quite a bit on these. Only thing that's really different, and we're missing a miner over here. Maybe that's why I couldn't get the 10. Maybe I missed a miner. Let's put one here and see if we can get 6 or 7 over here. There's 6. Now let's see if we can get lucky with a 10 down here. I saw it. We just didn't quite have enough. We're too close or too angled somehow. So we can get 9, but we can't. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yay! All right. There you go. How about that? We covered 10 veins with that one miner. All right. I hope you're happy, because that makes me happy. So I'm a simple man with simple pleasures, and that's one of them. All right, let's finish this up so we can get on to some more serious things. We're gonna change how that works. Let's come from there to there. Bring that one over here and into there, and then we'll bring these. Goodness gracious, again. Bring that one up here and over. Down. There we go. That's a little bit better, I think. And then for our last one, it will just come in here and get on that line. Cover it. Okay, that's everything there. And we're almost done with our research. We're going to jump in and do more research in just a minute. Going to give the drones a minute to catch up. We'll tell this that we're going to supply copper, stone, and coal. We are going to put 20 more of our drones in here because we use a lot of stuff here, and we want to make sure everything's working well. Alright, as the drones are finishing up over here, I will do our shout out for today. Today's shout out is for another viewer that has been commenting regularly on the channel. I appreciate his input. He is another YouTube creator. His name or handle is NextGenNate, and he has a channel called Desktop and Dice. So if you're a gamer, if you like games, you might want to check his channel out and see what you think about it. He has a kind of unique perspective that when they play games, they get on a game like Dyson Sphere. They play Dyson Sphere at one point, and they just kind of have a conversation about things. And it's kind of interesting, different take on the typical gaming video. So if that's your thing, if you're kind of interested in it or you want to watch it, give Nate a like, give him a follow, go watch his videos, and see if it's something that you enjoy. So NextGen Nate, thanks for watching, thanks for participating in my content. I definitely appreciate it. All right, we are getting ready to move on to our next blueprint, and we're getting close to time, so we're going to hurry up and get this blueprint done so we can be finished. We're going to build it right here, and if you'll remember, we want to be centered on the third of the 5th meridians, or parallels. We want to be on the meridian just to the left of the first fifth meridian. So here's our prime meridian, here's our fifth meridian, that's the first one, and we're centered just to the left of it. Here is our third fifth parallel, and we're centered on it. So I know that sounds really crazy and confusing. Hopefully by looking at it and seeing it, it makes sense for you guys, and it's not quite as crazy as it sounds just in the words. But basically you want to be on the third of these 5 grid lines, and then just to the left of the first of the 5 grid lines. And again, that gives us the ability to build 20 of these 5 grid squares over, and then do it again and again and again. And everything works out just right. Alright, so for this build, it's going to be our stacked smelting array. So these are going to be input lines this time. And we're going to build our smelters exactly the same way we did, lining up right on the line. We're going to leave one space in between, and then we'll do the same thing on the north side of the center line. Leave one space in between and build our 6 smelters. We only have one output from here, so we'll choose filter number 1 and bring that line all the way over there. And then we'll come out here and we'll choose filter number 1 and we'll bring that line all the way over there. Right, with all that done, we can put our sorters in. We're going to direct insert into that second sorter, and then we're going to do the same thing, only opposite, from the outside of that side, of the north side. Alright, so what do we build with this? We stack build. So if we wanted to build steel, we have to build iron ingots first. So we can feed iron into this array and it will build steel, because it will build iron here and then build steel there. We also use this for our crystal silicon, where we would feed raw silicon ore in, and we would make silicon, high purity silicon, and then make crystals. Same thing with diamonds. We would feed in coal, it would make energetic graphite, and then make diamonds. We will also probably use it, although it will need to be modified somewhat, for our titanium alloy. We don't have the extra 3 lines, or extra 2 lines, but we could bring in titanium, make titanium ingots, and then pass it along to make titanium alloy. We would just also need to bring in sulfuric acid and steel. But we could start with this recipe, or this blueprint, as a base, and use that to eventually come up with the right format for that titanium alloy. Alright, we're going to cover all of this with our copy and paste, and then we will set our values in here, and then we will build our Tesla towers here and here. And with that done, we can create a new blueprint. Now again, you want to go right up next to the prime meridian, but you don't want to choose those Tesla towers, because we don't want to build those whenever we build this blueprint. You also don't want the equator. You don't want those solar panels or wind turbines. So let's build this. This is Smelting Stack, and it is Mark 1. Melts still. We are going to change the name here a little bit, and we're just going to call it STK and then Mark 1. And the reason for that is when we put that, that is what's going to show up on our image here, and it does not word wrap. So we just get it and keep it on one line, which is what we want. So we can save that blueprint, and here we have our 2-1 that we built before, and there's our stack blueprint that we built this time. Now, for this particular build, we are going to use it to make steel. So we want to bring in iron, and we'll produce steel. Let's put in 20 of our drones. Boy, that was way more difficult than it should have been. 20 drones, and then choose our recipes. We'll choose this recipe is iron ingots, and then this recipe is steel. Unfortunately for this one, it's going to take a little bit longer. Remember up here we could copy and paste from the bottom and the top. This one you just have to do each row as a separate copy paste because it's not quite lined up the same way. We could line it up the same way, and I guess we probably should have, just to make it a little bit easier, so that this was an output line and this was an input line up here. But 6 of one, half a dozen the other. It still works, and it's not that much extra effort to copy and paste the recipes. So now we have steel coming into our system, which is great. We are still doing fine on our power, and in the next episode we are going to get a bunch of foundations, and we're going to cover this section. We're going to build another and our third and final of our standard smelting builds, and then we're going to come up here and we're going to pass this fault line, and we're going to go all the way to the next fault line, which is right here, and we'll build a assembly array, which is going to be our 2-item construction array. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how to calculate the formulas and figure everything out when we get started on our next episode. For this episode, that is going to be the end of it. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for your likes and your comments. Please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see, another game you'd like to see me play in the future. And if you have any questions or comments, I'm always anxious to hear about them. So thank you very much for watching. And if you like what you're seeing, please hit a subscribe and hit the like button. It helps with the views and with the algorithm to figure out exactly what you see next. So thanks everybody. Remember players, the cake is a lie. Keep building, team.